Good morning, everybody. We're so excited that you're here. Welcome to Coffee and Astrology and Coffee. And today we are going to be talking about Taurus. So if you are a Taurus or you have any Taurus in your chart or Taurus in your life, this is for you. If you just want to learn more about astrology, we are so excited to have you all here with us. You can find your birth chart. We suggest going to astro.com. They have a horoscope section. You can find your natal birth chart there. And we have a whole video all about how to read it, where to find the signs in your chart, and all of that. But today we're talking about Taurus. So we're so excited to be doing that today. I want to tell you a little bit about the Academy of Logic and Light. So I'm Megan. I help with the Academy Logic and Light events and classes, things like this. So we are a community education platform that provides a safe space for people to practice their spirituality without being indoctrinated. So we're just here to provide information and classes and let everybody, learn on their own and at your own pace and really in a supportive way. We do monthly meetups. So we meet monthly to get together. We have our next event is going to be a static dance. And I'm so excited for it. We have a great teacher, Christy, who's going to be leading it for us, and it's going to be indoors. And in the summer, that's nice to have. We also have YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and a Facebook group, all under the name Academy of Logic and Light. And you can join us there to follow along with the growth of the school, any new classes and events that are coming up, as well as our lives. We're going to be working on a lot of other things that are going to be available outside of just our local community as well. So keep an eye on us there. We also, if you like what we're doing, have a Patreon that you can join. And we want to just provide more magical content. We have lots of different things that you can do there, like monthly live streams. We have tarot and a bunch of different perks that you can get if you join us there. And again, finally, if you're interested in teaching with us, or you have an interest or anything that you would like to hear us talk about, we are putting together different things like these live streams, classes online, classes in person. And if you are interested in joining as a teacher or a coach or any form of someone who wants to just share information, please let us know. We want to connect people and create a vast network of support. So that's what we're trying to do in the Academy. And so if you'd like to join us, please reach out. You can email at us at academyoflogicandlight@gmail.com, or you can just message us on socials as well. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to play a quick intro here and then turn the time over to our teachers, Julie and Elle. Thanks, guys.
What's up?
Hey, you're back.
I'm back. Made it back from Oklahoma.
Woo! All in one piece with an infant.
With an infant. It was honestly the best little traveling buddy I could have ever asked for. So I'm grateful for that. She was an angel. So
I'm glad.
All right. Good. Ready to dive into Taurus?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. So just to give everyone a little kind of some facts about Taurus. It is a fixed sign. They are very consistent, very hold on, sorry. Mozart over here is distracting me. It's the second sign of the zodiac, so we start off with Aries and it moves to Taurus. It's an earth sign, so they're very practical, very feminine. It's a feminine energy. Not that all Taurus, like if you're a male Taurus and you're like, I'm not feminine, that's fine. It doesn't necessarily have to be what takes over your chart, but it is a more feminine energy. It's ruled by Venus, which is like the planet of beauty. And it really, it has a lot of great qualities as far as like being stable, consistent, and it's just one of my favorite signs. Honestly, I have a Taurus moon, and I'm so grateful for my Taurus moon because my emotions are stable and consistent.
That's the best. And honestly, that's such a rare quality for most people, consistency.
Yeah. It's so good to have. And in your emotional, like, I'm not going to say I'm consistent, but my emotions are very consistent. So that's very nice.
That is. I also I'm a Capricorn, so Taurus people make me feel very safe because of their consistency. And a good chunk of my besties are Taurus women.
Yeah.
So kind of funny to notice that.
Yes. And you'll find with Taurus, especially the women, that they're so consistent and they're so loyal that they expect that from you. It's kind of like very similar to Scorpio, which is its opposite sign, but they're very comparable. Sorry, I was looking for the word. Because they do have expectations. Most of the time they expect the same loyalty. They expect the same, what they put out, they want back. And there's nothing wrong with that. They are the friends. Again, like I've said this about Scorpio, when you make a date to do something, you show up and you're on time because they like things to be on time. They don't like sloppy, they don't like messy, they don't like late tardiness. That's just things that they don't really appreciate. So,
which is funny because the polarity of the Taurus polarity being in Scorpio, I find that 90% of my Taurus friends have the biggest problem being on time,
really?
Consistently. And I won't say all of them. I have some that have Virgo in their chart, and they're very on time.
Yeah.
A couple of my Taurus ladies, we have to tell them the wrong time for
so
departure.
that they're there on time.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We're okay, we're gonna need to pack the extra snacks.
Yeah. Oh,
Push
yeah.
in some time so that every bathroom break takes a little longer for browsing.
We are so snacky. Taurus love the snacks.
Yes.
They love Taurus is the sign of comfort. So comfort food and feeling comfortable, and just that kind of puts them in their element when they feel safe, feel comfortable. So it's snacks are huge importance in their life, especially with a Taurus moon. I can tell you, I see more memes about Taurus moon problems with snacks than any other sign.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just the facts of them. They're steady. They also move kind of slow. There's no rush really. It's kind of probably why your friends are late. They're not
Taurus time, man.
It's fine. But they take their time with things. They're kind of quiet. They're, money is so important to them. They don't like to talk about it, but because they are very private. It's a very private sign. So, if you have a Sun Taurus, you're probably more of a private person. You don't put all your business out there. It's the bull. So it's very stubborn, moving any placement in your chart, and with Taurus placement can be a little challenging. If they're not for it and they don't want to do it, they're not going to, and that's okay. That's their prerogative. But they're very goal oriented. They like to be successful. Money, possessions, things like that are very important to them. So that's just kind of some fun facts about Taurus. Anything you want to add to just some facts about Taurus?
I have so many facts about Tauruses. So many facts. Okay, yes. Lucky day is a Friday, which I think is kind of appropriate for a Taurus. Kind of a little bit slower energy, finishing your hard work day right before you go into fun. It's that real weird transition. Lucky numbers are 6 and 4.
Ooh.
Magical birthstone is emerald, which protects against infidelity, deceit, ensures loyalty, and improves memory. Special colors are pale blue and mauve. I always think that's a weird word. The soft colors of refinement and gentleness, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
These are my favorites. I don't know why, but I'm the cities for Taurus are Dublin, Lucerne, Leipzig, and St. Louis. St. Louis? Yeah. I have some questions for sure. I don't know how they came up with this. I'm pulling out of the.
Have you ever been to St. Louis?
Definitely have. I
It's
saw my very
terrifying
first
there.
baseball game ever. St. Louis.
I'm terrified of St. Louis. And not just because mostly because people drive so crazy there. Like, you can be going across the crosswalk and it can be your turn and they do not care. They do not care in St. Louis. I promise. You better make sure no cars are coming because they will run you over your right away or not.
Man, I don't remember.
I've been almost hit twice in St. Louis, and I'm a very
wow.
cautious person.
Dang.
Yeah. Maybe just my experience. Maybe Taurus is not for me there.
Yeah, that's weird. That's really weird. I don't know. Countries: Ireland, Switzerland, Cyprus, and Greece.
Ooh.
The flowers are violet and poppy. And the trees are cypress and apple. The metal is copper. And obviously the animal ruled by Taurus is cattle. The keyword phrase is I have, which also makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
The danger for Taurus is Taurus people have a tendency to get involved with violent situations that have to do with love or money. They often antagonize others and incite the passion of lovers because of their stubbornness and possessiveness.
Ooh.
Yeah, fun facts.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, Taurus is one of my favorite signs, not only because it's my moon, but I also have a child that is a Taurus. So I deal with the Taurus Sun on the daily, and it's a lot of fun. No sarcasm there.
I do love a Taurus sarcasm.
No, actually, she's great. But just to kind of go into some of the things of all the planets that Taurus may reside in. So if you have a Taurus Sun, you're pretty close to what I just explained: consistent, stable. Possessions are important to you. Kinsey, you don't have to crawl under. What? You don't have to crawl under. She's like, I don't want to be on. So your Sun in Taurus, you have this ability to hold class. It's ruled by Venus, so there's this beauty, there's this aesthetically beautiful presence to you. Your energy, you're probably very sweet, very kind, and I would say well put together. I mean, Taurus, they like feeling secure. They don't like feeling insecure. So you probably are pretty well put together. A moon in Taurus, I can speak heavily on this. You're consistent with your emotions and how you feel. So your Sun, you may be a consistent person, but on the inside, you could be a little, if your moon isn't in Taurus or something way different, then it could be a little more inconsistent. But with a Taurus moon, stability means a lot to you in your relationships. You're going to want someone that is consistent and that doesn't change a lot, super flighty. I know I'm a Libra Sun, and so I'm an air sign, but when things change so much around me and I don't have time to catch up, this is truly my Taurus moon, it takes me a minute. Like, I'm like, whoa, everything, a lot of things just change. Like, minor changes I can handle, but like moving, doing, changing, like people in my circle, it kind of like ruffles me up a little bit. And so I have to get used to it. It takes me a minute. I'm a little slow to adjust to things like that. So my Taurus moon, I would say, is probably one of my favorite things about my chart because it's, one of the most consistent planets that I have. So if you find yourself in a Taurus moon, you don't fly off the handles usually emotionally. You're kind of just chill, you think about things, you're just like, okay. Having money makes you feel secure also. That's something that really, feeling like you have a home, feeling like you have enough money to afford the things that you want, that's really important. If your Mercury is in Taurus, you communicate at a slow speed. You take your time. You really think about what you say. You don't just blurt out things. You're not just like abrupt. Like, you really consider what you're saying, and you're also probably pretty cautious to like hurt people's feelings because, again, you're ruled by Venus, so you want to be kind, and there's this like demeanor about you that's very sweet. And so the way you speak is consistent, stable, along with the other themes of Taurus. You putting together presentations can be very easy for you because you're very organized, you're structured, and again, you speak slow, so you kind of catch everybody's attention. You don't go too fast that people can't understand like what you're saying or what you're trying to put out there. Clearly, my Mercury is not in Taurus. I talk way too fast. Oh, bless you. And then Taurus and Venus, great placement, best placement. Taurus is ruled by Venus. This is like the placement of all placements. You are secure in how you love. You're consistent in how you love. I say it's the perfect partner. I have a Virgo Venus, so maybe that's just why I feel that way. Because yes, are you a Virgo? No, you're not a Virgo Venus.
No, I'm a Capricorn Venus. That's a challenge, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah, Virgo, same. But Taurus is exalted here. It is the happiest here. It actually, so my husband is a Gemini, and he has all these like Aries rising, Libra moon, all these airy, fiery planets. But his most dominant planet is Taurus because his Taurus is in Venus, and it's exalted there. And so, and he moves slow. He is in no hurry ever. He eats slower than anyone I've ever met in my life. He really enjoys food. Like he just sits and he enjoys it and he takes his time with it. Like it's kind of interesting to watch because I'm like, oh, this is such a Taurus thing right now. You're a Gemini. You're supposed to be fast. You're supposed to be like, no, quiet, silent, steady, calm. And that is because his Venus is in Taurus and it takes over pretty much his whole chart. And so, but one of the things having a Taurus Venus, you like a traditional relationship. You're probably not one. And this is just typically, this isn't if you have a lot of other planets that are different signs. So that can kind of alter this a little bit. But a Taurus Venus, they like traditional marriage is something that's important to them. I didn't want to be married. I thought it was silly, but my husband was like, I want to be married. I'm like, of course you do, Taurus. Fine, I'll do it. No, but it was important to him. It meant something to him. To me, I'm like, it's a piece of paper, but to him, it means something. So, it's a good placement. It's good for your energy, for relationships. And, you know, like I said, most people want someone that's consistent. They don't want to be guessing who they're with or they change or this or that. It's just kind of a very consistent relationship aspect. Taurus and Mars, not a bad placement. Again, how you take action, very slow, not in a rush, just kind of taking your time thinking about it, making sure it's practical. I mean, they're one of the most practical signs. So doing something that's impractical is just like, makes no sense to them. They can't even like fathom it. They're just like, wait, what? Why would you even do that? Like they're just not for anything that's just doesn't make sense. They like practical gifts. This is a placement of people that like gifts that are going to be used. Like don't get them something that they're like, what am I supposed to do with this? Or just something you think is cute that has no use because they are not interested in that. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of Taurus through the planets of your personality and where it kind of brings out a Taurus ascendant. I missed that one. I always go through the planets and then I'm like, wait, the ascendant. You probably come off as someone very consistent, very passionate, very sensual. These people really, they view the world as a very practical playground. It's not quite like Gemini where it's like, oh, fun and whatever. It's more of like utilizing the earth, you know, like how they're probably good gardeners. They enjoy growing their own food because they love food, but growing it from the earth themselves gives them this kind of feeling of accomplishment or just that it's more nourishing. And that's important to feel that their body is nourished because, you know, they spend a lot of energy. I don't want to say worrying, but they tend to, they need things to feel secure. And if it's hard sometimes in this world to feel secure. So there is a constant like, okay, do I have enough money? Do I have enough space? Do I have this to cover that? Like, it's just kind of security and all the things makes, do I have enough food? You know, is there enough food for everyone? Like those are things that Taurus ascendants really focus on. And and dwell on sometimes. So anything you want to add?
I think also going into it, an easy way to remember Taurus is it literally starts on 420. And then Earth Day, it's on 422. So just Taurus is being so grounded and like connected into the earth. That's just like the frequency. It's such an easy way to remember most things, Taurus, just like Mother Nature, Gaia, getting your hands kind of dirty, but like in a way that's providing, not in a way that's just like getting dirty for fun. But it'll be a little different kind of energy, you know.
And they are providers. That's something I didn't really touch on. They're huge providers. They love to work and provide for their family. A little wife that stays home and takes care of everything is something that they would really value, because they like to be the one bringing home the income and providing.
After my surgery, I was surrounded by Tauruses, and it was fantastic.
What do you need? Do you need food? Did you have enough food? Did you eat enough? Who's fed you? Yeah.
I never had enough. Too many blankets.
Yes.
All the comfort things. We had a snack table.
Yep. Taurus are notorious for that, and they're good. They're great friends to have. They will take care of you. They are so loyal. It is like one of their best qualities is their loyalty is like no other. So it's a good thing to have a good Taurus friend or daughter. My daughter, she will take, like, if I need something, I've had like one too many glasses of wine, you know, and the next day I'm like, oh, and she's like, here's some water, here's ibuprofen. I'm like, bless you. You're 16, bless you, you know, like, she's a little mom. And her, you know, she wants to go to college and have a degree, but she wants to be a mom. Ultimately, that's like what feeds her soul, or taking care of people, children. And she is the best older sibling. She's greater with the younger siblings because she is so nurturing and caring and loving. So it's good. She's a good one. So now I'm going to go into if you have a Taurus in the houses. So that was the planets and kind of like what Taurus does in each planet. And now we'll go through the houses of where it kind of shines in the houses. Taurus in the first house. So like if you have a Taurus Sun, and again, this is the Taurus Sun going through all the houses. It isn't a bad placement, but it does create this, you know, the first house is Aries, and Taurus and Aries energy is very different. So when you have a Taurus Sun in the first house of self, they kind of have a challenge here because they're not selfish. And they do take care of themselves, but they do like to take care of others. And this is a placement of like truly like taking care of yourself and more about yourself. So Taurus kind of struggles here in the way of feeling conflicted, doing for themselves, or feeling this need to do for themselves more than others, which is kind of conflicting because they want to do for others. So if you do have this placement and you find yourself struggling with wanting to do things for yourself but feeling guilty, that's something maybe you should work on evolving or just trying to grow out of, because it is okay to put yourself first sometimes, and I think that a lot of Tauruses struggle with that. So work on that if that's an issue. Evolve through that. Taurus in the second house, beautiful placement. Taurus loves the second house. Taurus is ruled by the second house, so possessions, you know, security, stability, these things all shine here. All your things that you love, you know, you probably collect things. I would say if your sun is in the second house, you probably collect something because you like to keep things, you like to have things, and your possessions mean a lot to you. And so that's nice. That's a good area to have your Taurus sun in. Taurus in the third house it's good. I mean, so the third house rules communication and siblings and things like that. So you probably find yourself working in some sort of career that has to do with sales. And that's not a bad choice for Taurus. They do have this charismatic way about them. So speaking to people, when you have a Taurus sun in the third house, you probably really embellish on that. You're probably overly like sensual about how you explain things, how you go into things, how you sell things is probably very practical and sensual. So, and not that you have to be in sales for this placement, but it does give you a little bit of an edge to kind of like lure people in with your practicality and sensualness. Taurus in the 4th house. If family is your everything, this is probably a good shining house. Not probably. This is a good shining house. So when you're a Taurus and your sun is in the 4th house, family is your everything. And Taurus can take care of a family like no other. Like a Taurus mom, like might be a little overbearing, but they will make sure that the house is tidy, that the kids are fed, that everyone has clean clothes, that it's just such an organized, structured, has it together type of placement. Even a father, like this is like if you are a male and you find your son in the 4th house and you're probably the great provider of your family, you make sure that your wife is taken care of, that the kids are taken care of, you really enjoy that, you shine here. So not a really good placement for your sun and Taurus to be in the 4th house. In the 5th house, which is all about fun and creativity, there's kind of a little maybe of a struggle here. For me, my sun is, or my moon is in Taurus in the 5th house, and I find a struggle emotionally with like having fun, kids, all of these things being creative emotionally. Now, if your sun is in the 5th house, it's more of who you are and how you identify. You may be a very creative person, and there might sometimes be I would say like a guilt kind of thing with this. Kind of like the 1st house. The 1st and the 5th house, those are fire houses. Anytime you have an earth and a fire house, it kind of is a little conflicting, but it, depending on other aspects, you could really shine here. This is a placement for a really good artist. Taurus people typically are artistic. Having your sun in this house expands that. Your creativity is probably a little more out there, more so than like a Taurus in the 4th house or in the 2nd house. You probably have a really artistic ability to create beautiful things that most people don't have. So Taurus in the 6th house is all about service. Taurus loves to do for others. Taurus likes to take care of people, make people feel good, comfort them. The 6th house is the house of service, so this is where Taurus really does what they feel the most need to do. So probably some career in healthcare, and it really, fulfills you because truly you are a nurturer, and this is the area of where like nurturing is expected.
Speaking of nurturing,
we need to be nurturing. Oh, hello. So yeah, that's a good placement too. The 6th house for Taurus. The 7th house, not a bad one. So the 7th house is Libra, which is also ruled by Taurus. So they kind of have very different energies, but at the same time, they're very similar. They both love beauty, harmonious things. There's like this aesthetic to them that kind of gives them like elegance to their appearance. Very fancy, probably loves to throw parties. If you're a Taurus sun in the 7th house, you really value your relationships and wanting them to look from the outside perfect. You want like a perfect, house with the perfect partner, with the perfect children. There's a huge Venus energy here of like perfection and looking a certain way and just kind of like really having the finer things in life. This is kind of that placement when you have a Taurus moon in this house. So not a bad one. It's just, it can be a little superficial. It could put a little more superficial vibes for a Taurus. They're very not typically like that, but when I see a Taurus sun in the 7th house, they tend to be a little more on the what they look like versus who they are side.
Interesting.
And then Taurus in the 8th house. This is the opposite. So Taurus is ruled, by Venus, and then it goes into Scorpio. So when you have an opposition, your sun in a house of, the opposite sign on the wheel, it's not a bad thing at all. It actually can accentuate the things that you're lacking and kind of give you a little more of a flavor of Taurus is very practical. Scorpio is very spiritual. So it can kind of like help you blend these different personalities and making you more whole in a way, in a sense. Like you can have kind of Taurus like want to help, want to do all these things, whereas Scorpio is more like, I'm doing this for myself, kind of like that Aries energy, but a little different, more deeper. And so when you have Taurus Sun in the house, the 8th house, it kind of like just fills you a little differently. Like you can be more spiritual, you can be more free, and it drives better, if that makes sense. So Taurus Sun in the 9th house is a good area for people who like to travel. It's more practical travel. It's more of a, you see the world like, I want to go here because it makes sense, not just for enjoyment. And so I find a lot of Taurus Suns in the 10th house, they tend to travel practically. And they also, the education that they want to learn about, or the things that they're interested in expanding their knowledge in, is something that's practical as well. They just don't go out learning new things because they like, oh, this is interesting. It has to be practical for their life. Have anything on that so far?
No, I wish I was like taking notes. This is good. I can't believe you're doing it all from memory.
Oh yeah, I these are the areas that I've like studied for so long, so that I'm like, oh, and it's like I know the energies of the planets and the houses and the, it's just kind of like it just doesn't go away for me.
It's impressive.
Thank y'all. All right, and then Taurus in the 10th house. Again, this is a beautiful placement. Anytime you have Earth and Earth houses, air and air houses, it's going to flow. It trines, so it's going to flow flawlessly. Taurus likes to make money. They like to have things. The 10th house represents career and your public role. And so Taurus does really well in this house because they're successful in their career. They are good at what they do. They choose their career probably over a lot of things, which makes a Taurus Sun happy because that generates money and they spend most of their time there. And so when they have that, it's kind of like, okay, this is such a good energy and it feels good. Like they just have that like feel good life. And so a lot of times I've been in property management for like 20 years and I more Taurus manage buildings. I don't know if there's some correlation with that, but I'm always like, oh, of course you're a Taurus. But it's a good way to make money. It's a good way to climb up this ladder. It's taking care of people's things, making sure people are okay. I don't know. There's just something I've always found so many managers to be. And I'm sure it's in any manager role, right? But that's just what I've done. And there's so many Taurus Suns and a lot of them in the 10th house. Because again, I study my colleagues. I'm like, let me see your birth chart so I know what to expect from you. And so I can study you.
My sister is a Taurus and she does commercial real estate. And then one of my other best friends is a Taurus and she just got her real estate license. So I'm like, okay. And then actually my Taurus male friend, he owns a commercial real estate company or something like that.
Yeah, there's some sort of something there, because I would say more signs than not that I've worked with are typically Taurus, and they climb up the ladder so fast. Like they're just good at management. And to me, this is just one of those, like when I think of 10th house, like in the career, it's like they climb ladders, they make it to the top, they work really hard, they're consistent. I mean, being successful in business is really about consistency. I mean, doing the work, but also like when you're consistent and you show up every day, it's unmatched, that kind of energy. And that's what Taurus brings here. Taurus in the 10th house is just thriving. So if you have this placement, this is a great placement for you. And I'm sure you're successful in whatever it is that you're doing. So Taurus in the 11th house. So this is kind of that earth in the air house. The 11th house is Aquarius. It's not a bad placement. Probably have a lot of friends. You are probably the friend that everyone relies on, but you enjoy it. You really truly love your friendships and you value your friends, and you probably have a good group of friends. You're picky. Taurus are picky. They're not like, oh, like, so they don't like messy, they don't like sloppy. So I say that, but I know a lot of Taurus suns that love Pisces friendships, which they do vibe. They're very different, but they vibe. Pisces can be a little sloppy. I feel like that's the one exception for Taurus. So if you're Taurus out there and you're like, my best friend is a Pisces and she's sloppy and messy, that's fine. There's something there, and that we'll go into another time, but there's definitely a connection there with Pisces and Taurus friendships. So yeah, 11th house, Taurus Sun, you have a gift of friendship that you really, have, that friends need. They need stability, they need grounding, they do need to feel safe. So and you give that to them, and that makes you feel good because your sun is in a house of friendships. Also, humanitarian work, I always say this about the 11th house, and every sign has a little different of a flavor on how they show up in this house. And Taurus is the one that, again, practical. Like, what is the most practical? Sorry, I gotta turn her around. Hello.
Thank you.
The way that they show up in humanitarian work is practical, whereas like you have a Gemini sun in the 11th house, they're going to want to go to some project or whatever site and be fun and have it, light, and let's shoot for the stars over the moon, that sort of mentality, whereas Taurus is like, okay, what do you guys need? How do we get it? Let's provide it. And let's get a plan to, get running water through your village so that we can make sure that everyone drinks. You know what I mean? Like, there's more seriousness to them. And then Taurus in the 12th house of fantasy. This probably isn't the most favorable place because Taurus is not, they're practical and down to earth, and the fantasy world is a little more challenging for them. It could give them more of a lighter demeanor, which would be nice. They don't seem so heavy or so just, I don't know, like gives them more of a free-spirited type. So if you're a Taurus sun and you are in the 12th house, you might be more of a daydreamer. You might not be as practical as most Taurus people, but you could be. I mean, just other placements depend on that, but this is kind of a placement of giving them a free-spiritedness, a depth, an imagination where you probably wouldn't find a Taurus sun in like the 2nd house, the 10th house, or the 6th house. It's more of an imagination free kind of placement. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Now I had to like go look at my chart.
Be like, wait, where is this?
Where am I?
Yeah, where's my Taurus placements? So yeah, that's just the sun through the houses. I mean, there's a whole nother, if you were to go through like, your moon in the houses and your Mercury and just where it accentuates and where everything is placed. I mean, there's a whole chart of it. So this is just a teeny tiny little, explanation of what it could look like there.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
I think now there's like a couple options we can go. We can either do the body parts ruled by Taurus, or we can go on the high road, low road of the Taurus. What do you think?
I don't know.
Okay, let's do high road, low road, and then after that we'll pull in Megan and Kat for that video. High road of a Taurus we talked about is practical, sweet, loyal, and slow and steady. And then you've got your low road, which would be like an unhealed, unbalanced Taurus energy. And those things would be more along the lines of being stubborn, getting stuck, which, makes sense. Like in that grounded, the dirt is sticky, you're kind of stuck. Materialistic and opinionated. So that's the high road versus the low road. And so you'll see that with every single sign. You've got your good things and your bad things to work on. And as far as like life lessons goes for Taurus, it is to slow down, accept and share sensuality, value simplicity. And the esoteric part would be holding steady regardless of others, brings loyalty and consistency, and non-attachment to results, and connected to Mother Earth. So those are all beautiful.
Yes.
The body parts ruled by Taurus is the neck and the throat. And today we have a video from Kat, who is a licensed massage therapist and one of our founders of our school. And she's got a little video for us.
Taurus energy is associated with the neck and throat area. So out of balance, Taurus can hold a lot of tension in their neck. Most of us do anyway, just because of the world that we live in. And it can also affect your throat chakra and your communication. You can oftentimes either go super opinionated and vocal or feel like you don't have the ability to express yourself. So here's some ways that we can balance out that Taurus energy in our neck and throat. First of all, there is a huge muscle that is in your neck. It's called the SCM. It goes from your scapula, clavicle, up to your mastoid. It looks a bit like a triangle. I, as a massage therapist, have never come across a person that did not have tightness and or knots in the SCM muscle. That muscle does a lot of work, especially since we live in a society where we are more often during the day looking down. This is why it's important to keep computer screens, TV screens at a neutral angle, because if we're looking down all the time at our phone, we're adding a lot of pressure to our neck muscles. The head roughly weighs 8 to 12 pounds, and for every inch forward, there's added pounds of pressure to those neck muscles, which is why our necks are usually so tight and knotted up. So simple stretches to the side, you will feel your SCM muscle. It's the one that sticks out here. And you can feel how tight and knotted it gets on both sides. I would also encourage you to spend 5-10 minutes a day outside looking up to counterbalance the constant looking down that we experience as a society. Another great tool, of course, any kind of back neck massage, close to the spine, up to the occipital ridge. We went over the occipital ridge in the Aries reel, down into the shoulders. And another great balancing technique is working on that throat chakra, making sure that it is clear, that you are in balance. Humming is a great way to do this. Any type of vocalization. I typically do vocal exercises. I was in choir, so I do vocal exercises while I get ready in the morning to stimulate those vocal cords, to stimulate that area, to get it ready and balanced for the day. Hope this helps. See you next time.
Woo. That was perfect.
Yay!
Kat just posted, I don't have any Taurus or a second house. What do you recommend if there's no placements in a second house?
I mean, just because you don't have anything, obviously, in a house doesn't mean that doesn't show up in your life. I would look at that chart ruler. What's your ascendant? Because that'll kind of be some areas. So whatever the house ruler of your second house is, remember we have the pie, and the pie crust was the house ruler. So whatever that sign is in, you might want to look at, say it's Gemini, are you lacking communication? Are you lacking, spontaneous, just different, depending on what the house ruler is, you could be lacking. So if it's Libra, how are your relationships? If it's Virgo, are you organized? How's your organization going? Whatever that ruler is could be where you're lacking the energy of whichever sign that rules that house. So if you have your ascendant, your second house is going to be the next planet, depending on the degrees. Because like I said, I don't do whole charts, so it's not precise. It's not every single house lines up on the little pie piece. It's all a little different. So it could start in Aquarius and end in in Pisces. So just kind of look at what the house ruler is, if you don't have any planets in that area, and kind of evaluate that sign and what it brings and the energy it brings and what planet it's ruled by and that energy. So
Awesome. Thank you.
you're welcome.
That's all I have for Taurus. I feel like all of my Taurus friends are going to be watching this later.
Yes.
They're all asleep or traveling.
Yes. Well, if they have questions, just send them to me. I can answer them.
Yeah, we can also do questions on Instagram too if anybody has anything. So we're here and available.
And one more thing. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
One more thing I was going to add is a Taurus Sun in the first house. Something that I find, and let me know if this is true or not true for you, but typically they tend to look more like their father. The Sun represents father, and so I find that their characteristics, same with Pisces. So they tend to look and share the same mannerisms as their father in the first house.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Fun fact.
That is a fun fact. I also I've been trying to study physical traits of each sign because I find it so fascinating that every now and then you can see a very specific quality and you're like, hey, are you a such and such? And there people are like, whoa, how do you know that?
Like you have the head of a Pisces. Like what?
Excuse me, you have fish teeth.
Yeah. Your eyes.
Awesome. Well, next week we'll be covering Gemini, all things Gemini, which should make for a very, very interesting class.
In the season of Gemini. So let's bring our Gemini energy. I might wear something really bright and colorful next week.
Okay. I'm here for that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Elle and Megan, and both of y'all are doing this with babies, and it's just impressive every single time. You guys are amazing. And thank you, Kat, for your video, and everyone who participated and signed in. And yeah, that's it. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.